Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary General, Mr. President of the Assembly, and dear colleagues. The special circumstances created by the COVID-19 pandemic are a reminder that such crises can only be tackled by working together. We have read the Secretary General's excellent annual report on multilateralism, and I would like to express my appreciation for it. Multilateralism and joint efforts will help us overcome all challenges, be they sanitary or political. The strong attachment of Romania to multilateralism is one of the main features of our foreign policy, alongside our efforts to strengthen resilience based on democratic values, rule of law, and international law. Beyond the national measures adopted in the context of the COVID-19 crisis, Romania joined some of the main multilateral initiatives, among which I would like to mention the global coronavirus response. Romania has also redirected more than 75% of its budget for international development cooperation to actions in response to the challenges of the COVID pandemic. A number of health emergency response projects have been reoriented this year, especially in our eastern neighborhood and sub-Saharan Africa. Your Excellencies, as Member States, we have all committed to an effective cooperation in the realization of the Council of Europe's aims and values. Compliance with all commitments undertaken upon accession, as well as upholding them after joining the Council, are of utmost importance. Support for territorial integrity and for the sovereignty and independence of all Member States of the Council of Europe are fundamental elements necessary for maintaining regional stability and security. The Council of Europe is a platform for dialogue and cooperation for all Member States. There are instances when our positions may differ on a number of issues, but we have a solid basis in our common principles, values, and commitments when we address all issues at stake, and we have to do it with good faith, and such an approach is a guarantee that solutions are within reach. The Council of Europe's monitoring mechanisms prove today, even more than before, their vital reference. In times of crisis, the monitoring bodies keep helping a unified approach to our standards and values. We would like, however, to raise the alarm with regard to the need to ensure proper application of our legal instruments. When exercising monitoring activities, our experts need to show due respect to the limits of their mandates, to remain objective and not to override the scope of the conventions. The role of the Secretariat is also instrumental in safeguarding the Council of Europe conventions, both in form and in substance. I would like to reiterate Romania's message of support for the democratic processes in the vicinity of the Council of Europe. Romania is closely following and is deeply concerned about the developments in Belarus. We have repeatedly called for the end of violence and for political dialogue in order to de-escalate the situation. Alongside our EU partners, we expressed our expectations regarding transparency and fair voting. In light of the developments post-elections, we joined the EU decision to impose sanctions on those responsible for violence, repression, and election fraud. Regarding the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, Romania advocates for the resumption of political dialogue as soon as possible in order to identify peaceful solutions in accordance with international law. It is important for the parties to start peace talks and to strictly abide by the ceasefire agreements and all humanitarian principles. We remain deeply concerned by the continued abuses and violations of human rights and international humanitarian law in areas of East Ukraine controlled by the so-called separatists and in the illegally annexed Crimea. At the same time, we are witnessing increasingly deteriorating security and the negative impact on human rights situation in the Georgian regions, Abkhazia and South Ossetia. At the same time, Romania remains a constant supporter of the Council of Europe's neighborhood policy. Our organization has a distinct role to play in the democratization and fostering of human rights and the rule of law in its neighborhood, and a very important role is played by the Council of Europe's Venice Commission. I would like to emphasize in this context also the financial support of the European Union in carrying out the programs under the neighborhood policy umbrella. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 crisis has deepened many of the pre-existing challenges to human rights, democracy, and rule of law. Under these new circumstances, Romania believes that measures taken to combat the pandemic should be in full line with the European Convention on Human Rights and the Council of Europe standards. At the same time, the special circumstances under which we carry on our daily activities should not allow hate speech and xenophobic manifestations. Romania is adamant in its rejection of all forms of discrimination, and the Council of Europe has a clear mandate in fighting them with the time-tested instruments it has devised since its foundation. Today, it is a time for dialogue and cooperation, with full respect for international and humanitarian law that apply to all our states equally. There is now a need for strengthened multilateralism, multi-level governance, and international cooperation between and among states and all actors in spirit of global solidarity and shared responsibility. Dear colleagues, as we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the signing of the European Convention on Human Rights, I reiterate Romania's commitment to the Convention system. The setting up of the European Court of Human Rights and the Convention system as a whole are some of the most outstanding European achievements. However, the continued efforts of the Court alone are not enough. The key element is to ensure an effective implementation of the Convention at national level. And the Romanian authorities are aware of their task regarding the execution of judgments, which remains a top priority. Let me conclude by congratulating the outgoing Greek presidency of the Committee of Ministers for carrying out its mandate so skillfully under such difficult circumstances. At the same time, I wish the incoming German presidency all the best in fulfilling its tasks in the following month. I can assure you of Romania's full support throughout your mandate. Thank you.